Welcome to this chat. Today, I have one question for you, but with lots of different prompts underneath. And I want to say from the outset that this is for you to take and do with whatever it is that you want. This is about your version of success, your path that you're on, and nothing to do with me or anybody else. So my question today is, where are you holding back? The first thing I want to say before I get into the journaling points is, you must, when considering this, work with your own boundaries. Work with what feels good. Work at your own pace. Trust your own intuition, your own instinct. It is there for a very important reason. The second thing is, holding back is a spectrum. So I don't want you to take away from this and go, right, I'm just going to have that reckless moment where I'm not holding back any longer. This is me. Here I go. So I want you to be easy with yourself and just work through it as a spectrum. So here are the few prompts that I want to share. Where are you holding back from what you want? And actually answering what you want can sometimes be quite an awkward, difficult, confronting question with yourself, because you have to be prepared for the answers. If you ask yourself what you want, you're going to have to be prepared to be honest with yourself. And when you're honest with yourself, lots of stuff comes up. And you're left with a whole new set of answers, a whole new set of questions. So I want to ask you, where are you making do, or saying you don't mind, or telling yourself that you don't know what you want, when actually you know full well what it is you want? Where are you taking yourself out of the game, basically? Or where are you settling for less? I would love to know. The second thing is, how are you holding yourself back from being your best self? This has been a really interesting conversation I've been having over the last few weeks with myself as we've been there's lots of exciting stuff going on behind the scenes, basically. And when you do, the police come, when you do big, stretchy, exciting stuff, on the one hand, you have this sense of expansion and, what are we going to do next? And then it's almost like your body, your mind, your spirit, your soul, however you like to refer to it, it has to do a cleaning process. So it brings out all of the stuff. You know when something goes wrong with your washing machine and then somebody might fix it, or you might fix it yourself, and you take a part off and you're like, oh, that's why. Because there was something stuck in it, or, it needed a good clean or something like that. That quite often happens when we're in that stretch zone. So it's been really interesting through that process of asking myself, where am I holding myself back from my best self? Because we often, and I certainly wasn't, told to be exceptional, to be ambitious, to be my most brilliant self, to go for what my heart desires. No, I was taught, fit in, be safe, don't make too much. Don't take up too much space. Don't walk outside the lines. So to go from that shift of saying, where am I holding myself back? And why is where I want to be and where I am right now, why is there a gap? And what does that look like? And therefore, what do I need to do to get much closer to where it is I want to get to? The third thing I want to say is, where are you holding back from who you are in the world? This has been a very interesting conversation, certainly when I became a mum nearly 6 years ago, of really playing around with the narrative that the world wants to have of us. So the narrative often around mothering or parenting or a woman of a certain age, there is that sense that you're just about to slow down. Or, oh my goodness, she's so busy. Look, she's doing the juggle. Oh, what's happening? What's going on? And there's all that kind of negative connotations. And when I notice about and ask myself, I'm talking all about holding yourself back. When I ask myself, who do I want to be in the world? Actually, I want to be one of those mums that's got it together. Not in a smug way, not in like, hi, I'm amazing. Yeah, everything's brilliant. No, I don't want to do that. But what I want to do is to be in a spot where I'm still growing the things that I want to do. I'm still setting an example for my son and my daughter. I don't want to be that person who was always like, oh gosh, she's always moaning about how tired she is. No, I want somebody to have an interaction with me and leave the conversation and go, I feel better today. Oh, that thing that you said, it really helped me. Or thanks so much for introducing me to that person. It really helped. For example, I had Joe Wimble Groves on my podcast about 3 years ago. And I'd also had Jessica Killingly, and I introduced them. And Jessica is a book agent, Joe is a writer. And this week, the book that they have worked on together, The Rise of the Girl, is out. And this has been an interesting thing in terms of asking around where you're holding yourself back. Because there are people in this world, and I know who they are, and you know who you are. Those people in the world who puts good stuff out there, who give other people a leg up. But that's a narrative that you have to choose to follow. Because usually, or the old narrative was, there's only one spot. There's only room for one woman or one person doing your thing at the table. They always say those in those weird like breakfast corporate things. Not that I've ever been to them, so maybe I shouldn't judge them. But it's like, oh, sorry, we can only have one coach there. We can only have one actor. And then, of course, I'm a bit of an enigma because it's like, sorry, you seem to be ticking more than one box, Nicky. We're not really sure how to deal with that. But it's interesting in terms of when I'm connecting to my mission, to who I want to be in the world. I want to be somebody who goes, I know someone who can help you with that. Let me introduce you. Or let me set up a dinner so we can sit round. Or why don't you all come over to my house and we'll have a conversation and I'll do that. Or why don't I hook you up with, like, all of those things. So where are you holding back in terms of that ripple effect that you could have in the world? Maybe there's a scarcity mindset. Maybe there's a bit of fear. Maybe there's stuff going on of like, oh gosh, but I don't want to bother anyone. That's an interesting one as well. I had a couple of meetings a couple of weeks ago, and I was saying to my mum, gosh, I've got a real thing about not wanting to waste people's time. Where does that come from? And actually, what I was giving in that moment was a really good value exchange. So that was an interesting one. Okay, number 4, where are you holding yourself back from your mission? Now, this is a conversation that comes up a lot. And this is something that I hear all the time. And I'm saying this with no judgment. I'm just saying it's something that I hear. And I want to question it and I want to get to know it. So sometimes people will start to work with me or have an interaction with me. And they will say, it doesn't need to be like a big, 7-figure business or anything like that. I just want to make my share of the nursery fees. Or I don't really need to earn a lot of money from this because my husband earns a lot of money. So, it doesn't have to be a big thing. And that's really interesting in terms of that dynamic. And actually, it's not about the money. For me, it's always about inquiring, why is that the case? Why are you attributing that it'll be just this little thing that we're just going to push to the side and we're not going to really talk about? Instead of saying, this is something I really want to do. This is something that I think could help people. This is something that I feel will have a ripple effect and it will support people. And when I talk about ripple effect, I often like to think about it in terms of a raspberry ripple ice cream. You know those moments where you suddenly get a bit of the raspberry sauce going through it and you're like, that's a nice little surprise. That's about the ripple effect. That's the person coming up to you in the middle of the street saying, gosh, thanks so much for recommending that podcast. It really helped me. And now I'm going to get a VA or whatever it might be. Number 5, where are you holding yourself back from your dreams? So I've kind of come round in a circle here. And in the first instance, I asked you what you wanted and where you're holding yourself back. And I also want to come back to this step number 5 of where are you holding yourself back? Because there are things that you want to be, do, and have, and you're not even letting yourself consider that. You're not even thinking that that could be a possibility. In a way, you've taken yourself out the game. It's been really interesting with my 5-year-old recently because he got really involved in the Olympics over the summer. And there is a part of him that believes he could be in the Olympics. We do a bit of a check before we leave for school. It's just something that we kind of work through to make our morning easy. Like he goes, I've had a good breakfast, had a good sleep, mummy. I've drunk lots of water this morning, and we always walk or bike to school. So he's like, yes, I've had a bit of exercise this morning, so my brain's going to be ready. I want him to be equipped with those things so he knows what to do. So he has that toolkit whenever he's feeling like, I don't know why I feel a bit off. Oh, I haven't drunk any water today. I'm going to try that first. So making him self-sufficient in that way. But when I watch him run ahead, when we run to school, when he runs to school, he will say, whew, I wonder what time that was. What's the time that you have to have when you go into the Olympics? Now, I have no idea. He's 5. I have no idea if he's a good athlete or not. And in a way, it's not necessarily about that. It's about the enjoyment that he gets, that maybe one day he could be part of the Olympics. Maybe one day he could be a runner for a living. Like, that is so lovely watching that situation. But I take a lot of inspiration from a 5-year-old because he's like, yeah, why not? Why not? Well, yeah, I could do that. But how often in our own lives are we not even dreaming big enough? Like we're saying, oh, I just want, if I can just get like this tiny thing and tick that box, then I'll be all right. And there is a huge space for simple pleasures. And I am all about gratitude. You know, I get into my bed every single night and it's the same bed. And I go, oh, I love this duvet. I love this mattress. Oh, I feel really nice in these sheets. I love the table that is next to my bed that is at a certain height so I can put my water there. I love my Lumi light that comes on in the morning and allows me to wake up. Those small things, absolutely. I'm noticing them. I'm feeling them. I'm being grateful for them every single day. But I've also got my eye on the big things as well. I've also got my eye on, ooh, wouldn't that be cool? Or how would that feel to knock my own socks off? Now, I am saying that with, not caution, with a wave, I'm going to say, a wave of self-worth. A wave of a lot of work that I've had to do over the last few years, I would say. Because there certainly was a time where I didn't even allow myself to dream big because I just didn't think it was possible. I just didn't think it was possible for me. So I took myself out of the game. I declined politely, let's just say, from the big dreams because of all the stories I was telling myself. So that's where I'm going to leave it today. I want to ask you where you are holding yourself back. And you don't even have to work through all the questions. I want you almost to consider the first thing that comes into your head. The first thing, because that will be the next part of creating that ripple effect. So if you say, do you know what? I'm holding myself back because I'm faffing about. I start my work day and I've no really idea what I'm doing or where I'm going. Great. You might be holding yourself back. I invite you, to explore that, to look at that. You might be holding yourself back by making excuses or avoiding what it is that you actually want. Look into that. Also, if you want to book a free 15-minute session with me, I would love to explore this with you as well. Lots of exciting new things coming over on my website, nickyraby.com. I can't wait to see you there. But spend some time with this question. It's a really juicy one, but I will say, do it with caution. Go slowly, because it is sometimes one of those questions where you open up a big can of worms and it's like, oh gosh, oh wow, I've been doing that for the last 15 years. Oh, that kind of hurts a little bit. go gentle, get the support that you need, take your time with it, and always with love. All right, I'm going to save this so you can watch it, and I'm also saving it as a podcast as well, so join me over there. All right, lots of love. Bye.